Good afternoon, Scott Redler, T3 Live. Welcome to today's recap. So the last week of the year, the S&P, please. I think everyone in the media was saying, please, close above 2,000 so we could print the newspapers and maybe someone will read some articles about the stock market because it still seems like there's such a lack of interest in what's going on here. Most, unenthusiastic, I would say, not approach, but reaction to a huge milestone. Maybe it's because we've hit so many milestones in the past year or two as far as levels in the market, or maybe there's really still not that much participation because a lot of people got stopped out of the market, a lot of people got frustrated, maybe too many people read the fear mongers out there saying how the stock market works against you, how it's rigged, how every time we pull back 4.5%, people are saying 15, 20%, so they never buy. So, who's in there? I guess some buy-only mutual funds that continue to put monthly flows in, or some investment banks that have money management firms that also allocate funds every month or quarter, and just a lack of selling because most weak hands got stopped out of the market, and you still have the Fed with $25 billion in asset purchases. But whatever it is, I don't ask questions on who's doing what. I just try and follow the technicals of the market and use different time frames and just a touch of common sense. When the market's above the 8 and 21 day, I try and be long. I try and look for good patterns. I try and have a portfolio approach. When we break below, I get neutral. When we stay below, I try and get short, or I just get out of the way instead of the opinion, instead of blaring people's noise out there, whether it's in the media, whether it's the guy next to me, whether it's the analyst who thinks they know better and they've been calling the top for 3 years. Anyway, you look at the chart of the S&P and you will see, here is the overall trend. Okay, this was, the last time we broke out way back in May, and look what happened here. You didn't need to know too much. Everyone was calling for a break down here, broke out above the 8 and 21 day, and became a nice trending trade before it got choppy, and this was your spot to get neutral. Then what happened? Okay, it broke below, touched the 100-day, ignited above, digested above, and then went back above the 8 and 21 day right here. So if you just waited to follow that strategy and said, I'm not going to get long until we get back above the 8 and 21 day, which, I think we're all good enough to do it before. You could have been long at 1952 versus, rolling up a short, and you could have seen another 50 handles. But again, we're kind of trained where on this day you get involved here unless you try and find the perfect trade. But anyway, so get neutral, get negative, get back to neutral positive, back to long, and there you go. And if you've been doing that during the course of this entire year, you stayed out of trouble. Okay, even here, people like Red Dog. Have you ever seen such a snapback with no pullback? Well, look what happened. Remember to start the year. This is why everyone was frustrated. Remember, no traction, break below the 8 and 21 day, get out of the way. Then you had your little Red Dog reversal here. Then it broke above. Then it penetrated through, and then you could have just gotten back long right here, right? That's probably where the 8 and 21 day was, and that was about 1800 before hitting a high here of, this 1890, before this new, that whole big range. Remember this range where they broke out and failed, broke down and failed, and then finally when everyone was frustrated enough on both sides, you had the clean move. So anyway, here's where we are, back at NASDAQ, almost 2,000. 1998, that's actually when I started in the business, right around 1998. So I've been doing this for 15 years. Could you imagine that? In 15 years, I've been approaching the market, making a living, and I still haven't found the secret sauce. Where is it? Is it in here? No, that's just caffeine, so I can, have the second part of my day after getting up at 4:45. So for 15 years, I've been hearing about the secret sauce and the special sauce. Put that on your steak sandwich because there's none in the market. All it is a process that you have to continue to work on and make it your own so you could actually have a disciplined routine and a plan, whatever time frame it is, whether you've been putting money in every single month for the past 10 years, 5 years, 30 years. If you've done so, you probably look at the newspaper and, you can give yourself a pat on the neck because I can't reach my back, too a little stiff after this weekend. But, and then if you approach it on an intermediate basis for alpha and cash flow, kind of like what we do professionally here, there have been ways to navigate, and there's been a lot of patterns and names to stick with and clues to look for. Okay, if you go back to the bios, right here, when The IBB, which we talked about in the morning call and talked about many times. First, this was the downtrend when it broke above, or even right here, remember 252? Okay, that showed you there was appetite for risk in the most speculative area of the market. So right there, that could have given you some confidence to perhaps get looking long versus just looking short, and now look where the IBB is. I don't care what Janet said. The banks last week talked about that, potentially having a really nice move into the Fed minutes or into Jackson Hole. And PS, after giving you an overthrow to the downside, okay, right here, it popped right back up, blasted through upper resistance, and then made a new high today on the what's it called, on the virtual trade floor. You guys saw me buy Morgan Stanley right here into this day, and I'm still long some. What a nice move. Kind of missed Bank of America, but who cares? You got to pick a vehicle. This was what helped ignite the move on their settlement talk right there. And then we also caught a nice trade in Goldman Sachs, which I'm out of. I only have Morgan Stanley left. But anyway, Goldman Sachs still looks like it could potentially go. I know some guys were talking about how finally it's back, and they say it's back now at highs. Where were they during this process? But anyway, so each different stage of this move, there's been different spots that are tight, and that's what we look for. We look for tight setups that give you a day one, so you could buy on day one, a feeler, add day two when you get confirmation to day one. Day three, you probably take at least half, if not more off. Day four, I'm usually done with it. Day five and day six, I'm a little upset that I didn't stay with the trade long enough, and then I might even try shorting it, and then if it goes 7, 8, 9, which we are doing in this market, it gets a little frustrating. So today I said, listen, people are like, what do I do? How do I get involved? Where could I buy? What's going on? That's when you have to tighten up a little bit and say, you know what? If you haven't been involved in the last 2 to 3 weeks and you haven't made money from the long side, hard to start here now, even though there are still some tight setups. And even if we did pull back, there are some things to look at that still look good on a lot of different levels. So you have to look around here, especially when it's low volume and things are pretty specific. People are like, Red Dog, why'd you sell your Apple common today? You know what? I'm still in the call spread. Been involved in this stock lots of different times. Okay, this is when we said the iPhone to head call right here. Then this was a nice compelling spot, this descending channel right here to buy. Another time we listed the chart, I showed this descending channel with the red dog reversal into the 50-day. And then when we took out, there was a momentum trade above 100, and now a little doji. I just figured we're extended from the 8 and 21 day. I don't need to be in the common and sit. I could probably get a better price, maybe. That's what in here too. I pretty much sat around waiting for it to clear this 194 or 101.19 before selling today near 102. And now we'll see what happens again there. So no real tight setup here. I'm going to wait to see what happens with the call spread. I bought the hundreds around here, which you saw in the VTF, sold the 102s around here, and then the 104s around there. And now I just got to sit and wait for another setup. Google, I'm waiting. Still very lethargic, but I think at some point this is going to go. Okay, this is going to take out this area, but in order to do that, you could cheat and wait for it to close above this 599 first. Netflix, what a move. Okay, at this point, some things have a pattern, some things don't. At this point, it doesn't. It traded through the recent high here, 475 with the doji. Could use a rest that's extended. Last time you had a calculated buy, you had one here, you had one here, and then since then it's been a little tough. Okay, remember this one back here? That's what ignited high beta. As far as Tesla, this is a little bit more interesting. Okay, where this is when it couldn't break above the prior high. Okay, came back in, held, and now you had a cleaner day today. And now that could have been buy one. We talked about getting above this 259. Now the next buy price is when it clears 267 on heavy volume. Listen, I know it was frustrating for me also. It happened fast. Okay, whenever a move happens so quickly, some were prepared because I talked about it in the morning call. I said buy area number one is through that recent 259, and then it does nothing all day. So hopefully you didn't overtrade it. And at this point, it'll be making a little bit easier if it could hold 260 tomorrow, 261, and then it perhaps has the capabilities of trading through 263, 65, and then 269. We'll see what happens tomorrow. As far as social media land, Facebook, also had a move, was tight all day, still looks good. Maybe it continues tomorrow. We'll see. This is your intraday chart. You go to your daily, still looks fine. It just, again, not that much momentum. Washed out some longs on Friday and then came back up. Next, I guess, buy point would be if it could really trade through this 75.58 with authority. Twitter, still hanging around. It actually got through a little tight area here, and now, held in there, closed okay. Didn't close on the highs of the day. We'll see how long it takes to get to there. Yelp, at this point, it's had a big move. It's not calculated either. So that's what you want to do. You want to buy things at pivots, like here, or maybe at here. And now it's just kind of wishy-washy, and you just have to say, okay, I'm going to be in it as long as it stays above the 8-day, if that's part of your plan. LinkedIn, I think, had its first red day. It's come a long way. I know some tried to short it here, including me, and then I was done with it on this day because I'm not a good short. Now today did come in a little bit more than this wide range bar, so maybe it's getting wishy-washy, so just be a bit careful. What else went on today? The banks. That's such a big move. Did I talk about the banks? I think I did. Yeah, that's where the line's from. Anyway, it could use a rest after this 3-day move. The oil stocks, okay, XLE. Not leading, but that's the way the market's been. Okay, you've had rolling corrections, and then certain sectors wake up. And this one looks like it closed on the highs, waking up a little bit. I did get along a little of this at the end of the day. Actually, no, I didn't. APA, not APA. Little Schlumberger, which had a potential day one, so that made sense to get along a little bit of this. What was that? What did I buy? APC? See, I have so many positions on right now. Yeah, APC. That's what I bought. Okay. This one in this group is above all the moving averages and looks like it's ready to break out. I don't know that much about it. Obviously, I don't have that much capital committed to if I didn't remember what I had there. But it's right here, right near a potential breakout. It's been in a tight range since June. It's over 3 months, so it's worth a try to go. Showing leadership in that group. If the group wants to go, it's going to need a leader, and maybe it's APC. So that's where that comes from. Yahoo needs a little bit of time. Okay, broke out here. eBay, what did it do ever since the PayPal news? Still tight. See what happens. I guess it's got to stay above this to continue. Gold, still, nothing going on here at the bottom end of the range. Still a gap here. It's funny here because this is probably when everybody's thinking short. Probably gaps up tomorrow. Same way right here. I think most people were thinking it's going to break to the upside and gap down. Same way here. Looked like it was going to break up and went down. Then on this day, it looked like it was going to break lower, went up. To me, that's an avoid. It's just a choppy mess, especially day to day. And there you go. It's Monday. There was definitely some movement. There was definitely some money to be made. Lots of continuation in trades from last week. Hard to initiate today. The same way it was hard to be short. If you're not finding success, do less. Hey, that was a little rhyme. Like, if you're not finding success, do less. I had another rhyme like 2 weeks ago. It was pretty good. Which one was that one? Don't get scared, get prepared. And that was at the bottom end of the range. There you go. See? No teleprompter, just pure Starbucks. Anyway, tomorrow's Tuesday. I think I will be in the office until Wednesday, and then I'll probably be trading from Short Hills on Thursday. You'll have videos Monday through Wednesday, at least from me. Maybe Thursday morning, I doubt it. More and more people are leaving their desk, less and less volumes coming in. So if you have to trade and you have to be involved, make sure it's for a reason. Make sure there's a pattern. Make sure you're not chasing something. Make sure you're not just shorting to short. Don't push buttons when there's no need. Okay, still look for the good setups. Make sure it's quality, and just try and relax a little bit. Life's too short, and if you're having a tough time, take a step back. And if you're finding success, and all of a sudden you're at your highs of your year, remember how you got there. Don't loosen up. Don't start throwing against the wall, because there's no reason to give money back when it's unnecessary. See you tomorrow morning. Have a good night.